Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we're going to be doing a little bit something different than I usually do, and this is going to be in regards to a kind of a reaction video. Now, as you guys probably know, there's a lot of reaction people like Asmongold or XQCs or whoever that just look at like every single video and like, oh my god, this random person breathe, let's go, oh my god, let's watch it. But there is a very intriguing thing over here because right now there's a viral video going around on YouTube that even I was randomly recommended, basically just going and completely dogging on PlayStation, basically calling Sony a scam, making fun of their products, and basically saying that there is just a whole plethora of issues going on right now. Now, this is intriguing too because I myself actually have surprisingly had a little bit of issues with PlayStation support. And if you guys actually don't really know the lore of my channel, I actually kind of got my first start, quote unquote. I think a lot of people kind of found my channel from like PS5 restocks and Xbox stuff, which we might be doing for the PS5 Pro if we need to. But my first actual initial quote-unquote viral video, or in regards to the PlayStation, was the fact that my PlayStation 5 actually broke. I actually had a PS5 console, and it was bricked and got kind of dead on arrival, and I actually had a little bit of issues with the PlayStation support. Thankfully, though, it actually did get resolved, and it all worked out well. My current PS5 isn't perfect, but I do want to agree because there's been some big controversies with it. So I'm not usually like a big reactor on my channel. I hope you guys will maybe sit back, relax, and enjoy. And make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch link down below, and let's dive on into it. So, kind of give you guys the context of it. I'll be a little bit more quarter throughout the video, but I definitely want to harp in a lot because there is, I think, a lot I want to go and say. So, like I said, this video's been overall, it's gotten like over 1 million views already, kind of going viral in the gaming sense, and I'll make sure I have it linked down below too for the original. But this is the intriguing thing. Let's go dive into it.
Problems with their PlayStation 5 controllers, stick drift being the most popular issue.
Stick drift!
Unfortunately, this issue has plagued many, and with me, it's a common problem. Even with my recent one I started using in February. Luckily, since I bought it in November last year, it's still under warranty, so I thought I could just send it in to get fixed. It seemed like a super easy process. Then, I got to customer service.
Two other quick things. So as I kind of talk about it, they had a little issue with like the stick drift, which I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I had I think a little bit more issues with my Nintendo Switch. My Switch actually had like instantaneous stick drift very quickly 2 times over, and it was kind of a big deal. But PlayStation and Xbox, I feel like has been overall pretty chill when it comes to stick drift. It does still happen. I've seen a lot of reports of it, even made a few videos on it throughout the years that it did exist. But that is kind of a small issue because the warranty replacement vibes are always hard to deal with when it comes to PlayStation. If your console gets bricked, you have to send it on in. They have like basically security codes and like actual like little things you have to look at, like the IDs of the consoles, which I think I'm mostly okay with, understandable. But if there's any issues with it, it gets cracked, like gets lost, whatever. PlayStation has been very hard on that. Understandably so, you have to be a little bit tight when it comes to issues or people trying to scam you or broken things, but it is a bit of an issue nonetheless.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
Though I will get to what Sony's scam actually is, I first need to talk about their customer service and how bad it is, because it does tie into my theory. I went from chat to chat, going through various PlayStation experts and multiple phone calls. I had an issue. With just a few months of use, the gray text on the back of my Cosmic Red controller is barely readable, so I could not read the serial number on it, and my box was long gone. So
basically at this point, kind of gives more context. They had like an issue with some controllers, had want a chance to go and return it, and then it's just kind of rough to see. But I do want to say I agree. One thing you guys can maybe go and know is that PlayStation actually has horrible customer service and also warranty issues. That's why I kind of brought up the fact that my PS5 was broke and kind of why I'm even making this video, because I remember trying to even get like a proper refund on one of my accounts, just a mispurchase on like a, if you sometimes have multiple accounts, I just had on the wrong account, want to refund it, rebuy it. So at the end of the day, they're not really losing too much money. If anything, they're still making money and getting a nice customer. And there was a huge back and forth, and I had a one-time special refund, and like, sure, okay, whatever, like you messed up, you can blame yourself, I accept that, but it's just the vibe wasn't good. And I will be honest, Xbox actually does have pretty good customer service, although it's usually just AI bots, but they're pretty good on like refunding or Game Pass. You do an extra day on auto renewal or whatever, they're usually okay with it. But also I have had a lot of horrible stories with the PS5s. You guys know a lot of people bought them, and some people did have issues on dead on arrival like consoles, and people were having issues with it. Like they were actually not able to return it because PlayStation said there was no notable issue when it first came out in the PS5. Now we haven't had a lot of these issues happen recently, which is nice, so it's most likely gotten better, but it is actually pretty true it still happens.
Looking for a way to get around this issue until finally I had my answer. There is no solution. Customer service said I cannot send it in for repair without my serial number. I said surely this cannot be correct, as I have proof of purchase and it's under warranty. There must be some other process or information they can take. Yet there is nothing Sony could do. After a full day of customer service interaction, I got nowhere. As I researched further, Sony smartly addresses my situation in their warranty in subsection F, where it says their warranty will not apply if the serial number has been altered, defaced, or removed. Intentional or—
Which I do want to go and say is a little bit of a sucky situation. Like, if you actually have your controller completely removed for whatever reason, maybe sweat, palm sweat, whatever, like, yeah, it's kind of not the best. And I'd probably say if you have proof of purchase and you send the product, I'd probably just replace it as like a goodwill for my overall users. But, well, that's the issue.
or unintentional, it does not matter. Luckily, after buying a magnifying glass and using liquid to make the text easier to read, I had my serial number, which I submitted. All I had to do now was fill out this contact info page, but then I encountered an error saying, "Oops, your location doesn't allow us to proceed with the request." And then it prompted me to select the correct region, as what I put in for the info is apparently being detected as a region not in the United States. The problem persisted no matter what I tried. And
now, for this, like, I can understand, like, issues with, like, you know, warranties, issues with customer service. I get that. This is kind of a weird one, just on some locations, just messed up. Now, should PlayStation system be better? Yes, but overall, sometimes just happens.
after going through customer service for half a day, they were finally able to manually input everything.
Which is
After
good, they
this
got it.
experience, I thought enough was enough. Maybe I'll finally pull the trigger on the DualSense Edge Pro controller, as I can swap out the analog sticks if there is a stick drift issue. It's expensive, but it's more of a guarantee I'll never have to go through this hell again or have to buy another controller. And then with more research, it turns out the stick modules, which start at a grotesque $20 per stick, have been out of stock everywhere, all the time. At that
The
moment,
double whammy on that one, that is kind of a lot of money, and I would also probably agree on the PlayStation 5 disc, you know, the disc in digital, where it is a little bit too much. Like, the attachment disc is like $80. It's crazy. I do sometimes think PlayStation does have its own little monopoly in this, like, maybe not in like the proper sense, but you know what I mean, like in their own ecosystem, and it does kind of suck. It is very expensive, and I do kind of think that Sony is kind of somewhat using the goodwill. It's not like a big enough deal where I'm like, oh my god, we gotta cancel PlayStation, oh my god, the customer support's so bad. But like, these are those small little critiques that I would actually like to see a little baby bit of improvement on if we could.
a realization set in. Sony is allegedly running the greatest scam ever. Sony has constructed a controller where a person cannot easily get to the analog sticks, arguably the greatest point of failure in a controller. Even after getting to the sticks, to replace or fix them would be even more difficult and risky. Doing this also voids the warranty if it's still under it. If you cannot fix—
That's another big thing, side issue, is that that's like the right to repair. So if you guys ever see kind of people talk about that problem right there is a big issue, mainly for iPhones or computers, where if you go and start taking things apart to bring it to a mom and pop store or try to fix it yourself, you are technically voiding the warranty. Mainly in their mind, they're like, hey, this random guy was tinkering around and they completely messed up the console, controller, laptop, whatever, and then they're not, like, it's not our problem. But, you know, sometimes things can be fixed easily, or maybe mom and pop stores can do it. But it's a weird toss-up because it does take away business then from mom and pop stores. It was a really big issue people talk about a lot. But kind of the whole story for this so far is that they just had an issue with trying to go get a proper replacement and have things good, and the value proposition isn't that good for it. And I would actually probably agree. Now, this doesn't mean like, oh my god, I hate PlayStation, because I got a brand new console back when my first one had issues. They dealt with my warranty. But I do remember that process being a little bit of a bitch. Like, it was hard. And then same thing too with other people. I've heard a lot of people have issues where sometimes they had a dead console and they couldn't even return it, even with the proper serial numbers and like proof of purchase and receipts. And just in all honesty, it's kind of a big deal if people don't have a good chance to have a good customer service. Now, is it like worth like a viral video going and trying to cancel Sony for? Not really, but like, it is a valid critique, and it's maybe why some people are kind of resonating with this video, because there was some big issues when it comes to Sony.
then it leaves you with two options: get a new controller or have Sony fix it. If it's out of warranty, having Sony fix it is way too expensive, so realistically getting a new controller is what you would do. If it is under warranty, like mine, Sony has seemingly gone out of their way to make it as hard as possible to successfully submit a warranty claim. They do not fix common errors on their customer service site, which were problems years ago, and they have you go in circles even with correct information. Ultimately, if you do not have everything they want in a process they made complex on purpose, you are out of luck. This then prompts you to take the easy way out and just buy a new controller. But hold on, my most recent controller is a newer release, being the cosmic red color. Yet they still have not fixed the stick drift issue, years after they received a class action lawsuit against them over the stick drift
I even made a video on this too at the time, which it actually did go and happen. So they're kind of just basically saying like, hey, like they just need to be a little bit better on actually dealing with these controllers, dealing with the issues with hardware. And like I said, I had issues and I saw a lot of people with it too as well. It's almost an unspoken, I guess, drama and critique of PlayStation, where they just aren't really the best when it comes to customer service and warranties. Like they are a little bit on the schemier side, and I'm not really the biggest fan of it. And I do kind of agree with this video. Now, I'm not like an anti, once again, not like anti, like, oh my God, PlayStation's horrible, but it is like a pretty big concern.
problems. Thus, even if you buy a new controller, it's a matter of time before you're back in the same situation. All the while, Sony is essentially forcing people to buy controller after controller since they make the process terrible and won't fix the root cause of the stick drift issue. At this point, you are right where they want you. You either keep buying controllers or you spend 3 times the amount of money to get the DualSense Edge, which solves the issue. Except, brilliantly, it does.
Although I'm going to say, honestly, hot take, I haven't really had too many issues with the controller. I had issues with my console, yes, as I mentioned, but my controller has actually been pretty chill.
Not solve anything. In order to switch out the sticks in the DualSense Edge, you need to buy stick modules. These stick modules are out of stock everywhere, and in the past few months have only been in stock on the PlayStation website, where they sell out almost instantly. The reason this is happening is quite simple.
But it is a good point, though, if you can't even readily go get what you need to go get online, especially if it's like a individualized, specialized product from a company, it is kind of rough.
Sony has not made nearly enough stick modules, and I would argue they've done this on purpose. The percentage of people with the Pro controller is low, and stick drift usually occurs only in one stick. This means Sony really shouldn't have an issue keeping up with demand. So being constantly sold out seems to be a strategic tactic on Sony's end. Now, if you've invested in the Pro controller and have stick issues, you either pay a huge premium on eBay for stick modules or do what Sony wants you to do: buy another controller. It's a great scam. I mean, business strategy. You do not fix a well-known issue, have horrible customer service and glitches preventing warranty claims, make people buy more flawed controllers, and have your premium controller not actually solve the issue because you chose not to make enough stick replacements. Pretty much the only meaningful
I can see the overall scheme of it. Now, I do want to say, like, people have issues with when it comes to returns and brand new products and all that stuff. Like, it does happen. I do want to say it. But at the end of the day, like, I don't think many people have had that many big issues with the controller. I'm still running my original controller right here with a little case on it for the past 4 years, and I've had basically 0 issues with it whatsoever. But I can understand maybe if you have one controller, you get it 2 years, 3 years after the fact, and you're kind of upset. Like, I'm sure people out there have had their controllers be messed up. And I do think PlayStation should be a little bit more accepting and okay with, number one, providing more products to actually go fix it, how they're saying to with the actual, like, you know, little analog stick attachments. And as well also make it either cheaper or maybe have a nice workaround system to go and be able to fix the products they go and make. And I do kind of agree that is not necessarily a scam per se, but it is a little bit on the schemier side, like that moral gray area. And I do kind of agree with the take on it.
Accessory to the Pro controller. I would love to be hopeful and say they'll fix the issue, that they are not actually scamming people. But
Probably not. Let's be honest, they're probably not going.
given what's currently happening, it's just wishful thinking. We're more than halfway through the PlayStation 5's life cycle, and this problem still has not gone away or gotten better. If anything, it's worse. Sony knows exactly what is going on and loves it. Unfortunately, that sucks for everyone else.
I'm intrigued. Not a bad video. I understand the critique, maybe a little bit on the hardcore of like calling it like a scam or whatever, but it could be potentially a scheme. And maybe if someone has gone through 3-4 controllers from stick drift or just really, really bad RNG, I can understand why someone would be upset about it at the end of the day. I do agree PlayStation's customer service is leaving a lot to be acquired. What's, you know, just the real whatever the saying for that is. It could be definitely better, and I do agree there has been still stick issues. I still see that on occasion, and I do kind of wish that they'd have the chance to go and fix the actual supply issue too as well. So at the end of the day, I do think there's a little bit of merit to this. Maybe not as hardcore as they made it throughout the video, but like there is a bit of truth that PlayStation is kind of scamming people out here. Maybe scam's not the best word though. So give me your thoughts and comments and everything down below. Subscribe if you guys are new. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream as well, and I appreciate y'all very much for watching here in the first place.